10. We still have so much to do. And Ollie was a wonderful little brother with it all. He even swept out the kitchen, which he had to do 3 times because he insisted on doing it while we were still getting everything ready. He dusted in the living room and insisted on cleaning the windows. I was pretty sure he was only insisted on doing that because it meant he got to clean the glass on the television, even though it's already pristine. So cute, I said to Mother, who shook her head. We were pulling out Grandmother's crystal punch bowl and the little crystal cups and went with it. From the high shelf of the cabinet above the sink, she was twirling on the step ladder, passing me these purple glittering cups while I placed them carefully on the kitchen table. Are you sure I shouldn't be doing this? I asked it, but Mother shook her head no. Rose, you can take care of everything. I am capable of some things, you know? She replied. Besides, I can't trust anyone with my mother's crystal. Guests started arriving around 7, and by then, we had set the punch on the dining room table, surrounded by finger foods. Mother had gone all out with pigs in the blanket, divided eggs, and various severe goodness on the crackers. Mother enjoyed putting things on crackers. We had cucumber and cream cheese. We had some deli meats and some kind of salmon mousse that had some come from the tin. That one I wasn't entirely certain about, but it all looked marvelously delicious. The neighbors didn't come empty-handed either, as soon the table was full of sweets as well. Brownies as an upside down and a pineapple cake, and a giant platter of sugar cookies. Father joined us around 7:30, and he looked so dapper in his suit and so calm and cheerful that I wanted to cry. When he saw the television, he was more excited than anyone. I missed the whole reveal. He explained it to Mr. Martin from the next door. The truck was huge. The exhaust filled the whole street. Mr. Martin replied, displeased as always. He shoved a devil egg in his mouth. Needs more paprika. The little kids were running wild and playing a game of tag through the house. We had predicted this possibility and handed most of the breakable items under Mother and Father's bed. Upstairs, still, they did a good job of knocking over furniture and almost denied Dinah and herself. Little terrors! Cried after them. Of course, her son, Timmy, was the ringleader of it. Anyone to blame. I glazed at Father, but he seemed to be doing well even with all the noise and chaos, but I was on high alert. I always on high alert, just in case. I went upstairs briefly to use the bathroom and came back down, pausing the stairs to look at the scene. My heart felt so full. We were packed as everyone was standing very closely to one another, eating and drinking, talking and laughing. I loved the livingness of it all. Of course, it could be so quiet at times, too quiet. Seeing it all, it made me feel this was at home was supposed to be like. The kids with their whoops and hollering, the adults were all so colorful, the ladies in their tea-ling dresses, the men in their suits. No one was rich around here, and everyone generally wore the same thing to all parties, but I thought they would look so good nonetheless. Everyone in our neighborhood had taken great care before coming to our party, and even it was humbled. There was an honor in knowing they had taken the time. The ladies were gathered by the food, laughing heartily. Something Mother had said. There was a circle of men around the television, looking over carefully, pointing out the knobs, examining the hook at the back. Mr. Jackson picked up the glasses case, and we had placed on the top of the television. He opened it to examine them. I skipped lightly down the stairs to join them. This is Joey Drew's latest invention, I said. Who's Joey Drew? Said Mr. Jackson, who took the glasses out of their case. He put them on and laughed. What do we think? You look like your brother, replied Mr. Martin. That kid? Mr. Jackson laughed hard. Quick, take them back! He tore them off his face. He was being so careless with them. I quickly reached out and snatched them from his grip. He looked shocked, and so did all the men in the little group. I'm sorry, I said. They're not ours. They're alone, and they're quite expensive. Ridiculous, said Mr. Martin. I have a pair at the movies just last week. Dime a dozen. No, these are glass, see? Said, holding them up. And metal, and they don't work anything like the ones at the movies. They were the new kind of technology. A new kind of technology, huh? Said Mr. Jackson with a laugh. He reached out for the glasses again, but I pulled them away instantly. Now, playing to give away. Frank, knock it off, said Father. He had a serious voice now, but I knew the man would listen. I'm sorry, but we're only given one pair, and they are for Ollie to use. I explained it. Don't worry, Rose, said Father. Placing a hand on my shoulder, he understands. Mr. Jackson rolled his eyes. As I walked away or toward the food, I heard him muttered, should have gotten enough for all the kids. He wasn't wrong in a way. He was just didn't understand. I didn't think Joey would want me necessarily explaining this ins and outs of his new technology. It might be a secret, and quite honestly, Mr. Jackson wouldn't understand in any way. I glanced at the clock of the mantel. It was almost 8. I made my way over to Mother. It's almost time, I said. Mother was always right person to tell when it came to keeping things on track. She was never scared to raise her voice over the dying of the room, and never concerned if she interrupted others. Never there was a schedule to maintain. She clapped her hands together loudly to get everyone's attention. I noticed Father's flinch, but he ran up quickly as soon as all the adults were gathering on the furniture we had put together for our makeshift audience. That evening, a few kitchen chairs, the sofa of course, and Father sat in his chair. The grown-ups didn't get a seat over behind, and the couple stayed as close as they could to the punch bowl, and the kids scattered on the floor, battering in the center spot. I scattered that the place of the honor would be for Ollie, especially since he was wearing the glasses. There was some pouting. Generally everyone was accepting this. Though I think Ollie was a little embarrassed. He always been taught to share, but I explained to him before anyone arrived. But these were very delicate and special glasses. This will be the one time he couldn't. Except, Rose, you should look first. You're the reason we had the TV. I felt awkward, very certain of the attention now that everyone in the room stared at me, standing by the fireplace. No, Ollie, it's okay. Please? He asked it. He held up the glasses for me, so I quickly took them and smiled. Just for a minute, I really don't need to, I said. Ollie beamed and turned back to face the television. Inwardly, I was quite pleased with the offer. After all, I did have a strong desire to try out the technology myself. It would have felt taking candy from a baby by driving Ollie an opportunity. Besides, didn't Joey want reactions from real people from his internet audience? That was Ollie in a nutshell. Everyone ready? Asked the mother standing next to the television. Let's do it, announced Father from his chair. I beamed. It was so wonderful to see Miss Element like this, in charge and connect. There was a chorus of yes, and some of the kids cheered. Mother laughed and turned on the television. A tiny pinprick of light appeared in the center of the screen. Everyone stared at it as if hypnotized. It grew larger until the entire screen beamed at us. Mother clinked the plucky silver knob to correct the channel, and there was Bendy. Another cheer from the kids, and the laughter from the adults of their enthusiasm for a still image. It was a picture of Bendy, motionless, caught midway, and large words, "Up next, Joey Drew's show." Underneath with a smaller font, "Brought to you by Arch Steel." Seeing Joey's name gave me a small thrill. I knew him. I worked for him. I've been working on this very show with him. The screen changed, and there was a man himself, just reassured so many times, standing in his cartoon makeshift artist studio. On TV, it looked so much bigger. He couldn't see where the set suddenly came to the stop, and then the studio began. He couldn't tell just over his head was a catwalk where giant lights were hanging. We couldn't see the camera operators, the grips, the sounds technicians, all the other people who could only see Joey smiling at us. "Well, hello," he said, turning around with his chair as he would call him in the middle of the drawing. "I didn't see you there. My name is Joey Drew. Welcome to my studio." The little audience applauded, and Ollie turned to grin at me. "Rose, put them on," he insisted. He noticed the glasses still hanging from my hand. "Oh, yes," I said, and I did. I was instantly transported. It didn't feel like a typical 3D movie at all. The images were popping out at me in my own living room, but rather I suddenly back in the studio on the set with Joey. I gasped lightly and immediately hoped I hadn't been too honorable, except it didn't feel like I was on set. I felt like I was in the room with him. It drove me off, and I pulled the glasses up just to look, to remind myself I was still here in our house in Brooklyn. Slowly, I lowered them again, and there was Joey talking right at me. "I thought I'd introduce you to one of my best friends. Will you like that?" I nodded. I turned to look behind at what I knew was Lenny behind his giant camera, but he wasn't there. No one was there. The entire studio had vanished. Instead, I was staring at the other cartoon wall, with more bowling boards, more pictures next to it, a door. I was inside a alternate sort of reality. This cartoon setup that I was familiar with, but now it was complete, not a set anymore, but a real room. I looked up. There was a ceiling replacing black void. Everything looked a little yellow and like faded paper. I looked at the door again as Joey continued to talk to my back. I wondered what would happen if I walked toward it. I reached out to open it. I stretched my arm out and took a step forward. "This is Bendy." I felt a tug on my dress. I turned back to Joey. He was still there, as real as day, but the black and white, of course, because he was on television, not in the color like I used seeing him. I laced down to where I felt the tug. Bendy himself, with his bow tie and his little grin. He was standing, looking up at me, coming to about the middle of the die. He pulled on my skirts. How he had done that? He waved, and I waved back. I felt the panic rise within me. I quickly pulled the glasses off. I was facing the television, exactly where I had been. I felt my feet firmly planted, animated Bendy appear on the television screen, much like he had while I was wearing the glasses. This I had seen before. The kids were loving it, but my mind was racing. I turned to Penelope, Dinah's sister, who was a year below me at school. Did I move? I asked in a whisper. She looked at me. What? Do you see me move? Turn around or anything? She stared at me. No? Are you sure? Of course I'm sure. Now hush. I was just watching the show. It was a whispered conversation, but Mrs. Martin from across the room said, Shh. I turned back to look at the television. I took in a few breaths to calm myself. I hadn't been prepared. That was the problem. I'd been talking about glasses from last week, and about the new technology and the silly vision. I understand that this is more than just an average 3D view experience. I had not fully grasped what Joey and Evan had created. It could change the experience of watching television films forever. I felt a little dizzy, and then I remember Ollie. Ollie? I whispered. He turned his eyes wide, full of excitement. It's your turn. There's certainly something you need to experience. As I bent past him, the glasses over Timmy and Lolly's heads, I added, It's a very shocking experience at first. Don't be scared. Lolly giggled. Don't be a scared cat, Ollie, she said. Ollie grabbed the glasses from me and gave me a look. He's such a sweet kid, but he didn't like people thinking I had things about him, just like anyone wouldn't. I felt a little guilty, but not that guilty. I'd rather be embarrassed by me than unprepared. He put on the glasses just as the screen shifted to a Bendy cartoon I recognized immediately. It was a Little Devil Darling. I'd seen it before as a little kid in the movie theaters before the feature, and Joey had explained it had been his first ever cartoon. The kids laughed just like I had when I was their age. Benny never went out of style, and I felt more calm, at ease now, settling into watching the show. Just like everyone else, I glanced at Ollie. He didn't seem to be bothered in the least by the glasses. On the contrary, he was smiling almost as big as Bendy, which of course made me smile too. Half an hour later, and 6 more Bendy shorts had been done. Joey said goodnight and had see us next week, and the screen turned to the card. This one enticing, true or false. Everyone applauded and Mother turned on the lights. That was fun, said Timmy, bounding to his feet. He looked around ready to run around the house and for a few more hours, absolutely buzzing. It was, said Mrs. Jackson, his mother, and now it's time for bed. That was a cue, and the other kids scrambled to her feet as adults began their farewells. I moved over to Ollie, who was still sitting in front of the television. He was staring at the card for true or false. He still had the glasses on. I touched him gently on the shoulder. He turned abruptly and then laughed. Rose, you scared me. He took the glasses off and handed them to me. Such a good kid. Well, what do you think? Isn't it keen? I asked it. Super keen. It's just like I was there with them. He practically bouncing in place. Night, Rose. Night, Ollie. Call out Mr. Jackson. I gave him a perfunctory wave. You turned around. You looked up? I asked it. I did. I even walked around a little. I drank from the even. That's amazing, I said. It was. I don't think Ollie fully understand how fantastic it actually was. Kids take things in stride. Every experience is a new one, something they don't have anything to compare to. It's all equally thrilling. It was exciting for him, them understanding how new and different this was. The ability for a person to invent such a thing. The science and brains behind it. I don't think there was something Ollie fully grasped. Ollie suddenly launched himself at me and hugged me backward onto the floor in a small tickle. Thank you, Rose. This was the best. Oh, my pleasure, kiddo, I said, laughing. I held him tight and smiled so hard. He has no idea how much.